Cool. We are back. So, as you've probably seen from the title, and I mean, if you know any of us personally, or if you follow us on socials, you will have seen that this has been a very long time coming, this episode. Obviously, Little Simz dropped her, are we calling it her third kind of studio album?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a third studio album.
Fourth, isn't it?
Stillness
Curious Tales. Curious Tales.
That was a studio album?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Not the Simz stan I thought I was. Her fourth studio album was dropped almost 2 weeks ago when this episode will drop. And yeah, obviously kind of introduction to Simz if you don't know who she is. She's a 26-year-old rapper born in Islington, so East London, and Nigerian descent. She has kind of, I guess she has like 2 or 3 EPs prior to Curious Tales, which I'm not massively familiar with, but basically we did a thread the other day on Twitter where we kind of went into her discography, and they definitely kind of show like her rapping chops and like styles, different flows. Then as we kind of move forward, you see Curious Tales and Stillness in Wonderland, and she kind of gave us albums there where she focused on like themes and concepts and collaborated with a lot of different artists. And then move forward to 2019, Grey Area, which was Top A's album of the year. I think it was did I put it number 2 of the year?
I think you put it behind
Magdalene, didn't I?
Yeah.
I never lived that down. That was my second best album that year. Obviously that kind of signaled the start of work with Inflo, and then obviously move forward to this year, and yeah, we have Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, nice intro there, John.
Thank you.
But yeah, just to kick this off, I'm gonna start again. Like I said to you guys, I had something prepared, so let's go straight into it. So one of my favorite things to do is to tie in, they draw the comparisons between like sports and music, right? So here's a story or analogy that I'm going to use, right? So people might know Surya Bonaly, right? She is a black figure skater. She was the one who did that insane backflip. She's the first and only figure skater, to backflip and land on one leg. So obviously an insane feat, right? Obviously was very popular for that. But obviously that was her last Olympics, right, in Nagano. But before that, she's a figure skater for a long, long time, right? And I mean, as you can guess, a black figure skater from France, yeah, add the equation. That was not going to be a good time for her. Like, I don't think many people probably took well to her kind of entering the scene. And the thing about her, like, she was really good at other sports. I think she won like silver or gold in like tumbling, like before she even did figure skating. So she had the crazy athletic ability. So obviously she comes in, she's obviously someone who's not the typical face of figure skating. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she always, like, because figure skating is somewhat of a subjective sport, like, people can always just fuck with you with the scorings, right? They can just be you weren't graceful enough, or whatever the fuck that means, right? So, I mean, there's a couple examples of this, right? So the 1993 World Championships, so she lands seven triple jumps and a triple combination. She wins silver. And then I don't know what it means,
but that sounds hella impressive.
Yeah. So basically 7 triple jumps. So it's basically when you do like a free spins in the air or something like that, right? And she gets silver for that. And then another skater who's obviously really good at the same time, so Oksana Bayol. So she did 5 triple jumps, no combinations, though, obviously fairer skinned, and she wins gold. Yeah. Obviously, so that's annoying. And then obviously 1994 Olympics I think it was in Norway. Then so the way it is, like, with figure skating, because you don't want to go last, because if someone sick comes before you, then it's like you're kind of fucked. Yeah. So she was the last out of like 4 people. So 3 people went on. They all had like amazing performances, and then she's last. So it felt like no matter what she did, she was always going to get ranked harshly. So she loses that. But everyone always tells her, well, you're really amazing, but you need to be more graceful, and she's very exotic, or whatever the hell that means, right? Yeah, there you go. Like, they just don't want to admit she's the best for whatever reason. Then again, so she goes back. Okay, so she keeps getting focused on, okay, no, you need to be more graceful, you need to do all of this. So she's like, okay, cool, I'll give you guys what you want, right? I'll give you what you want. So 1994 World Championships in Japan, and then she does really, really well, right? She does everything they asked them for. Mm-hmm. Everyone, even the audience thinks, you know what, she's going to get the gold this time. And then there's another figure skater, another Japanese skater, of course, in Japan, a woman called Yuka Sato. And don't get me wrong, she did well. She's not shit, but I think everyone could tell it wasn't as good as Surya's performance. And then she loses then, and she gets the silver. And she was so like riled up about this. So when they're at the podium, right, she refuses to stand on the podium for one, and she's just in tears. She's so frustrated, and she just takes the medal off. Like, she's like in protest. And everyone's just like, and everyone, she's like a bloody teenager, and all these cameras on her face, like, so why do you take off the medal, or you're gonna retire? It's like all that weird shit. You know, it's the 90s, different time. And you know, just to loop this all in, right, it kind of, I feel like when I look at Surya's career, it kind of reminds you of Little Simz's career in recent years, where it feels like, personally, no matter what she does, it's always just like, yeah, but it's not good enough though. But even though someone else could do something that isn't as impressive, it's like, oh my gosh, this is album of the year. And I feel like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like if she wasn't a woman and all her discography was exactly the same, I feel like she'd be treated a
100%. That was a great analogy, by the way.
No worries. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But no, just a question. Here's a question to you, right? I know you got a lot to say. Do you feel like Grey Area was indicative of what I was trying to say? Where do you feel like people did shun Grey Area a little bit?
I think, I don't know whether they shunned it, but I think the people like us who listened to it understood it for what it was. Mm-hmm. And those that kind of, I don't know, I want to see the good in people and be like, they didn't take it in, right? As in the people who shunned it, quote unquote, or just ignored it, or were like, oh yeah, it was a good album. I don't think they took it in. I don't think you can be honest with yourself and listen to this multiple times and not take it in. Yeah, I don't know. But it did get shunned, didn't it? Because if you look back at 2019, I mean, it didn't win the awards that it was supposed to win.
It didn't win the Mercury Prize.
No.
It didn't even get nominated for a Brit.
No.
Which is insane to me, but
yeah. So yeah, like the parallel 100% works in what you're talking about, and she's kind of taken on board, you know, maybe not the criticism, but the kind of weaknesses or the areas you could see that you didn't get in Grey Area, or that people wanted from Stillness, or they listened to Stillness and said, ABC I didn't really get, or this was missing for me. And I think this is the album where she was like, cool, I'm going to go back to Stillness. I'm going to, you know, take that concept. I'm going to carry it the whole way through. I'm going to give you also, I'm going to give you ABC. I'm going to give you D, E, F as well. And you better not be disappointed. And I feel like that's what she's done with this album. It's definitely like a culmination of Grey Area because of Inflo, Stillness in Wonderland from the themes and concepts, and also bits of like the earlier work, because I think, like we said earlier, like Blank Canvas, all those kind of projects where you see, like 7 years ago she could switch up her flow in this crazy way, and she does it on a number of spots in this album.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I kind of agree with you, Gray. I don't think it got. I think in terms of where it was placed in 2019, it's kind of like what I said. It felt like people who didn't like it, like, you can dislike music I like. I'm not really fussed about that. But it's like it was always just kind of where it started and stopped. It was like, oh, I don't like it. But it was like, okay, why don't you like it? I want to hear what you think. Or it's like, oh, Hoodies or Summer was just better. It's like, okay, but why was it better? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was never that discussion. It was always just like immediately just kind of shafted to like tier 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah.
With no, even though I'm like, okay, but where's the weaknesses? Where do you think it went wrong? Or because people have said on, like, there's other people like, you know, Fantana or stuff like that. They're like, oh, they prefer Stillness's production. Fair enough. Or, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But like, you're not. I feel like people I speak to just didn't give me anything. It's just like, oh, it's cool, or oh, this is better, and it's like whatever. In I feel like if someone else released this, it would be way more praised.
I mean, that is what you're talking about is quite symptomatic of a lot of music criticism, right?
Yeah,
or a lot of conversations around music. It's subjective. We all know it's going to be subjective, but you need to have some. You need to have some examples, and you need to try and explain why that is your opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and I guess from, you know, we're kind of talking about it without saying it, but like underrated, right? Like, do we see Simz as underrated?
Okay, I'll go first on this one. People are gonna get me for this, but I do think she's underrated. Not because I think people think she's not good.
Listen carefully, people. Okay, listen carefully and don't just jump on this.
I think people think she's a talented artist, and I think obviously
Yes.
because people say, "Oh, it's." People are just annoying. So I think someone even said, "Oh, it's actually a diss to call someone underrated when they're out there doing shows." No, it's not, because she said, Simz is the only one on her job. It's bait. Everyone in London knows. Still not. They didn't want to give no props. Life's good when you make this much dough. So obviously it's something that she's pointed out herself. So I don't think it's a diss. I think it's just sometimes you just gotta be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
So do I think people think Little Simz is a competent artist? Yes. Do I think people think Little Simz is one of the best artists the UK has at the moment? No. Do I think that's the case? Yes. Like if I look at the discographies of the UK art, even if you look back to 2016. Has anything since Grey Area been better than Grey Area? No. Not in the UK. The only thing that can match it is her own fucking sophomore project. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think like she's had a reign for some years now. Like, even if you look at the deluxe version, because I always have to make this distinction. I think the deluxe version of Silks and Wonderland is when you have to just be like, "What, yo, she is on her way." And yes, because things everyone wants to just be like. I feel like it's like some fucking Pavlovian response. Okay, no. Skepta, it's like, okay, cool. Are we really going to say Ignorance is Bliss is better than Grey Area? No.
People will. 100%.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, whatever. Major and Amanda came out in 2016. Okay, yeah, that might be the last album from this country that you could be like, this is as good as that.
Some people would say like Konnichiwa, because I know we called that a classic. I reckon a lot of people.
Okay, yeah, I think Made in Amanda came out. I think Made in Manor came out after Konnichiwa. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I think ever since then, I feel like it's been a Little Simz era, to be honest. Like in terms of, I look back at all the albums like Common Sense, Big Conspiracy, or whoever the hell, like even Slow Tie, who I rate as well. Do I put it on this level where it's like, wow, this is like not just UK good, like this is just legitimately
globally
good. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I can't. So I think people don't give her that props, and I never really see a reason why. There's always some sort of weird reason or vague reason why she can't even be in that conversation. It's really, I've never understood that.
Yeah,
to me. I mean, but what do you think? Is she underrated?
I think yes, by definition, there is a lack of rating.
yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Like you can be like underground artists in the US, right? You have a massive rap scene, right? To me, some of them are the best rappers that I've heard of. But they're underrated because not a lot of people appreciate them. Now, Little Simz is an underground artist, right? Plenty of people see her. She's hitting the charts, but she is underrated. I think one point you made, which was that basically she's getting the same, when you get the same response in a different country or another country appreciates you more, then you can be underrated in your, the country that you're from or your origin country, right? And that's something we see with a lot of artists in the UK. They're underappreciated here and they're appreciated elsewhere. And I think, with Simz, she's getting this 2 weeks of bliss now, but like come the end of the year, I better be seeing her at the top of your lists.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not going to happen though. And again, I think people saying, "Oh, Little Simz is not underrated." It's like, okay, how does it make sense that people in America who don't even like the accent that we have, anyways, are highly rated this album, and the thing is, in contrast, no one spoke about Grey Area in 2019. No one. I remember seeing any sort of, and obviously, like I follow a lot of like people who post content in the UK. No one had her in any sort of discussion. Nothing. Maybe mic check, but even then, it's like that's it.
Yeah,
like, and I think,
it, yeah.
I mean, if you think it's that good, or you're saying, "Oh yeah," then where's the content about it? And again, she's just a symptom. I think Lil Simz is not the only underrated artist in hip hop or in any genre, but I think it's so clear how much for Little Simz it's just that she just kind of gets shafted, and I don't really know what it would take for people to be like, okay, what do you think is actually missing for her to even be considered? Because if I look at the talent, it's like, come on, the UK talent is not that deep for her to be like
hidden
not even
away.
A mention.
Yeah.
And
the thing we mentioned about the US as well, like. The accent thing aside, like UK rap generally in the US isn't put on a pedestal, or it isn't put alongside the best US rap, because they consider it like, oh, it's UK rap, it's a different genre. But but genuinely, like, you can't. look at kind of the largest market for music in the world, and they're taking Simz and being like, yeah, whoa, like we need to start taking notice. This was years ago. They've been aware of her for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense, yeah, I fully agree. Underrated. But yeah, should we get on to someone that isn't called Simz but is called Inflo? Because this guy needs a segment of his own today.
Yeah, let's go.
I think he does. So mysterious man behind obviously Simz's production on Grey Area, and then also on this project. Sometimes it might be Introvert. He's been kind of the mastermind, the puppeteer behind Salt and all of their projects. I mean, I think there are about 6 or 7 of them now. And he produced for Michael Kiwanuka's self-titled album in 2019, produced obviously Clear Soul's 2019 album, Rose in the Dark, and then also her album this year, They Are Together, in case you didn't know, where that synergy came from. That's love. And I think we saw in his story he's going to be working with Scripps Riley, but apart from that, all I'm aware of is Salt, Kiwanuka, Cleo, and Simz.
I mean, he is probably the most enigmatic guy in UK hip hop, but probably in hip hop at the moment, because you just don't even know where this guy came from, mate. Actually, a quick question for you, actually. So actually, were you of the opinion that Simz and Inflo should run it back another time for this album? Did you think is that what you wanted from Simz moving forward? Because I don't think I actually asked that question when we did the episode.
I think I did, but I wasn't sure the direction of the album. So I didn't know whether like a thematic like concept album like this, naive me, right? I didn't know if he had the kind of like range, even. Like, it sounds stupid saying it now, but like, because the album was very it was very rough and rugged. Like, very, it had a theme. What's the word? It was so cohesive as like a short 40-minute album. You're like, cool, damn, that's like him in his bag. But over an album of like an hour and whatever, hour 6 minutes, hour 7 minutes, with such a like varied soundscape as it's become, I didn't see that coming. I'll say that. So yeah, I don't know whether I wanted them to run it back. But I mean, obviously, the dream is to hear more of that. No, for sure. I think, I agree with you, because I think Grey Area, like, thematically is quite consistent. Like, it kind of leans on like pop rock a little bit, a lot of drums. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very kind of sharp and rugged. Like, it's kind of direct to the point. So obviously I didn't know who he was before this. So I thought, okay, I don't really want Grey Area 2. Like, Grey Area, it did what it needed to do. Yeah. But then I think hearing him on Kiwanuka's and Cleo Soul's, it kind of showed he had a bit of he had more diversity than I believed him to have. But yeah, nothing that would prepare me for this album at all. So yeah, let's kind of get into it. Like, how do you feel like the production has kind of progressed from Grey Area onto Sometimes I Might Be Introvert? It's improved. I'm not going to say tenfold, because that would be doing Grey Area a disservice, but it has improved. I think their connections improved, clearly, because it's been 2 years. So yeah, I think like the broadness of the soundscape is obviously he's incorporated. If people are familiar with Salt, they have a lot of like soul influence, but then also there are elements of like funk and jazz, and he's definitely like pulled into bits of that for this album. You see on certain songs where there's a lot of like children's voices as like large like chorus groups. He's used that from, I think, the last project that Salt released. Was it 9? I think it was called. Yeah. There were a lot of like children's vocal choruses and stuff like that. So he's like brought in elements from different projects. So yeah, I think it is improved a crazy amount. I was legitimately blown away by the production on this album. I think every track has something different to offer. That's inclusive of the interludes. And I mean, I don't know what else this guy can do, but I'm not going to suggest there's a cap on it because this is just 2 albums in with Little Simz.
I mean, I just don't. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, I don't fucking get it, man. I actually don't fucking get it. Like, I cannot believe, like, he's solo produced almost every song. There's only one sample on a 19-track record. Like,
60 60
and the thing,
19 tracks, sorry. Yeah,
90 tracks. And the thing is, because obviously the question is, how much does a producer do, right? And like coaching, like, you know, when a new coach kind of comes in, and you can also tell, okay, the team is changing. Like, for example, okay, popular example, right? Gareth Southgate, right? You can see the identity of the England football team kind of changed once he came in. He had an emphasis on like balance, and he wasn't, you know, he kind of like goes aggressive when he needs to, and he's, you know, generally quite a defensive guy. And you can see it's all that shit compared to English one where they'll kind of do whatever the fuck they want. Same with Stillness in Wonderland. I felt like she was doing whatever the fuck she wanted, and she had someone who genuinely just pushed her to like expand their comfort zone. So it kind of felt like he was always ready to do something like this. Mm-hmm. And you know what? He's such a coach because the way he kind of talks on Instagram, he's like, oh yeah, you would have done this album without me. It's like, would she have really? I don't know if I believe that. But yeah, I think the guy's ability, like coming onto this album, like I cannot believe this is one person producing this album. Like it is absolute, like I cannot understate enough how ridiculous this guy is at producing and making samples sound like samples that aren't samples, and little inflections, like no 4 bars on the same of this album. And to do that over 66 minutes is just holy shit, man. Like, I don't know where he was before this. I know where he's going after this. He's going to some very special places. Like, and the thing is, if he just fucks off to America, I can't blame him, because there's no way anyone who listens to this album is not going to be like, get me that producer on the phone, please. Like, they're going to do that. Like, this guy is out of his mind. So let's transition, right?
Yeah.
So what are your in terms of production, because now we're connected to talk about the album, what are kind of your best moments of production-wise in this album?
Oof. Okay. How do we narrow it down? Well, I think in terms of like, maybe let's look at it like sound wise. So you've got the kind of incredible like orchestral, right? We're going to use that so many times today, guys. Get used to it. In terms of like the orchestral, Introvert is, I think we've both said it. We both kind of agree it's probably one of the best songs released this year. It is for sure. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it?
It
like,
is insane.
It doesn't get boring. It doesn't get boring. Yeah.
On that, it's incredible. Like you were talking, the nuances. The guys, just I can't understand like where he maybe studied music, or how he's come to have this like ear and like understanding of music in so many different genres as well. Because every genre is unique, right? I know you might go to music college, but you might study jazz, or you're like kind of your major in a certain type of music, but this guy literally can do it all. So you have the orchestral highs of like Introvert, it's incredible, the build up, the crescendos, like the ebbs and flows of like Standing Ovation, that's incredible. And then
oh my gosh,
and then you have a beat like Speed, which sounds like a song from like Yeezus or something. I know obviously she mentions Kanye West in it.
Sounds like a great area throwback, actually.
And that's an incredible beat. But normally you'd have a producer who does that, and he'll be like, get him on the phone for we need a song for Speed. And then I mean the sample. I wasn't a massive fan. Me and Tops listened to it together, but I wasn't a massive fan of the
Smokey Robinson.
Yeah, so 2 Worlds Apart initially, but I think it's brilliantly done. Now that I hear it back, that's incredible. So yeah, I think highs for me, Introvert, Standing Ovation, just for the ability to like slow it down so suddenly and just make it beautiful, and have, you know, Clear Soul's just vocals like dancing around. You feel like it's spring, you're just walking through a garden, and then damn, like the drums come back in, and it's the orchestra comes back, the strings and the horns. It's on another level from anything that's actually being produced in the UK right now. It is on another level.
Oh, 100%. This is probably this is probably the best producer album I've ever heard from a UK artist, rapper, 100%.
It's
I can't. And if people are being genuine with their souls, like, give me an example that matches this, because I cannot think of it. Like, this guy is there's not a bad moment production on this whole album. 19 tracks. What the fuck? So let me give you my high moments, right? So obviously songs like Introvert, okay, yeah, that is fucking epic, right? It sounds like, so, you know, it sounds like Little Simz is here to tell you the most important thing in the world. Like, it's just crazy. And like, his chemistry of knowing when to like change the beat, depending on certain things she says, it's just incredible. Like, I think we spoke a lot about it when the single came out, and he kept doing it with every single. It's like Women, it was so smooth and luscious. I was like, what the fuck? Rolling Stone obviously kind of taking her back to like her space age and all that stuff. But the one that really got me, because his name is Yardman Flow, right? So he's obviously from Jamaica. Point and Kill and Fear No Man. What the fuck, bro? Like, honestly, even legitimate people from Africa making beats like this would have a hard time. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where is Inflo an idea? Is that actually a person? We don't know. Is Inflo just an idea?
Is it a group of 100 people that have been locked away and they've been given, you know, all these instruments, like, make the song.
Because, like, honestly, like, it's him doing it. Because Little Simz would be like, oh yeah, he did the keyboard, he did the drums. Like, it's him. Like, in terms of like, and you saw that video I sent you. I think I put on my story about the when the choir came in, Inflo's telling them what to, like, it's actually him. Like, it's legitimately him. Like, I honestly don't. Like, my mind actually can't comprehend someone who's this talented to just do all sorts of styles easily, and even fucking disco and Protect My Energy as well. Like,
it's got to be some kind of Rain Man thing, because
yeah, literally.
And I don't mean that in any offensive way, because I don't know.
It just don't make sense.
Yeah,
it just don't make sense. But yeah, but probably my best moments is probably Point and Kill, Introvert. Those are the two.
I'd say I Love You, I Hate You is probably one of the biggest, like,
holy shit,
one of the hardest beats I've heard this year. Again, because of the vocal clip that we thought was a sample, but it's not. He's just somehow sourced this from someone, and we've seen him coaching people with their vocals, right? Yeah. And he's like, no, I need it a pitch. I need it an octave higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really that guy. He's really that guy. Even when I think Fantano was speaking about it, he's like, oh, this is a good example of like how you should sample. It's like, it's not a sample, Fantano. It's just not. That's just him. I understand. It's literally just him. But okay, cool. So we've given the production his just dues, and obviously Inflo. I think for him, this is like a absolute wash. Like, you can't fault it. This is like a 10 out of 10 for him, honestly. Yep. But obviously, Simbi is the vocalist on this album, so just to avoid us just kind of fangirling the fuck out of this album, we decided, okay, we're trying to be more balanced in our reviews, because I feel like when we hate an album, we do shit on it, and when we love an album, we act like there's no wrong to it. But yeah, so let's kind of start off with what we felt like was the, I guess, low points of the album. Let's get that out of the way, and then we'll kind of go from there. So listen to this album, where do you feel like, okay, you know what, this could have been done better, or whatever? Like, what do you think?
Sure. Okay, I think I'll start maybe, this isn't directly at Inflo, but obviously, you know, he produced as well. So I love it. It's a very kind of emotive track. It's obviously one of the more romantic songs on the album. I felt, it didn't, I don't want to use the word flat, but like maybe just lacking a little in some oomph or something to carry the song through. Because the sentiment's lovely. But I think, I don't know. I did have the tendency to kind of drift off a little bit with the song. So I would have liked, I don't know, something else, maybe instrumentally on it. But I mean, even then, like, I'm not really critiquing Simbi. So interludes, okay, the interludes is where I have, that's the main problem I have with this album. Emma Corrin, shout out, and she does her thing on The Crown. That's all lovely. But on this album, it feels an interesting choice. Now, I get it, so I'll start with that. I get the choice, and I get the idea that...
how do you get it? Because that's the part.
I'll explain. I'll explain. Yeah. So I get it in the sense of Stillness in Wonderland. People that are kind of familiar with her music might say, it was a little bit too kind of convoluted. I'm not sure I necessarily got the theme running through. I don't really kind of get how this links to this and that links to this. So yeah, cool. It's like, it's very explicit. Emma Corrin, you know, is narrating, and she's kind of, it's gone the complete opposite of Stillness, because she's literally explicitly telling you either like the values that Simbi wants to have, or the lessons that she's learned, or reminders for herself. And it just felt an odd choice, because here's this like opulent, rich, posh, white woman, essentially sounding very condescending, and it just didn't really fit for me. Like, after you've had songs like Little Q Part 2 or whatever it is, and then suddenly, you know, remember Simbi, like, remember your dreams, la la la. And it just doesn't fit for me. It feels really awkward, I think, in the context of it. It's the voice of inherited wealth, isn't it, really? That when you're talking about the royal family. But I get the choice, and I say that I'll get that she wants to be explicit and say, cool, there's no way that you can't not understand this album, because I've literally put it in black and white for you. Here are the markers for when one theme moves to the next. I've got an interlude, literally telling you this. Literally, it's like bullet points, isn't it? Like lesson plans. Yeah,
literally signposts.
I can't remember. It was like halfway through secondary school. They're like, going to make a real conscious effort to tell you what we're going to learn in this lesson. It's like the objectives, the learning objectives. That's essentially what the interludes are.
Yeah. It's like, man, so you know that meme everyone says on Twitter, like, if Johnny has 5 apples, like that type of thing. It's like, I'm telling you, like, clearly, do you know what I mean? But, I mean, I
have more to say, but go on. What were your kind of lows from the album?
I think for me, I 100% agree with the thing. I don't have a problem with the interludes. It's just the Corrinisms. Like, the problem with Emma Corrin with this album, right? Yeah, like you said, like, it's just this posh white woman kind of in a very black album, to be fair. Yeah. And she's kind of inserted. When I heard Introvert, it was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder where it's going to go from here, right? But I feel like when I look at it, the whole album as a whole, it's like she's inserted into this whole album's narrative, but you're not really given a reason to care about her, what she says, or why she's there. So it's kind of like, it's just this random person just telling her, focus on yourself, or, you know, follow your heart. And it's like, okay, but why are you telling her that? Like, why couldn't it have been like Simbi talking to Simz, for example? Like, wouldn't that be a cool example? Or couldn't you just have like guest appearances? Maybe Getz comes and says something, and another rapper. Or I feel like there were so many ways she could have done the interludes by herself, even, or with other people, or even use samples from like people speaking about the things she's talking about. I think that would have helped as well. Obviously, she's done it the way she's done it, but I think it's very weird when you go to like these very gritty songs. Like you're saying, these heavy songs, and you're back in like, I don't know, fairy godmother mode. It is kind of
it's very Disney-esque. And I think I was gonna say on one of the interludes, obviously Simbi is kind of providing like a bit of a like back and forth like reply with Emma Corrin. She's like, oh, but I can't.
On the Gems,
on Gems, and it just the dynamic feels a bit odd. I think given who it is, who she plays in the TV show, everyone's gonna know who she is. It feels a bit weird. And that aside, I mean, the lessons, quote unquote lessons she's delivering are just very like simplistic, almost like
over dramatic in a sense.
Over dramatic, but also they're quite transparent. They're quite transparent.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like Tumblr, Instagram captions, like they're follow your heart, like diamond in the rough, you know, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, or like basically saying, oh, they'll try to like wear you down. It's like, who's they? Like all these things, or like one moment I'll step and you'll be ridiculed. It's like, what are you actually talking about here? Like, I wish that's me. I feel like, and here's the worst part, right? Because I feel like the messages on the interludes that don't include Emma Corrin's voice are actually quite potent. So I think a key example of this is the rapper that came to tea, because it's like, what's it called? Would you like a cup of tea? There you go. It's like, what the fuck?
What in the Disney is this?
I want some fucking rap shit. Like, do you know what I mean? I want some rappy shit. What the fuck is this? But the thing is, that's the thing. What the choir says in all these interludes, I feel like it's way more potent. Like, you know, what's the price of your freedom? Or like, you know, leave. Don't go to this place. Like, I feel like that works way more than what the fuck Emma Corrin is saying. However, the reason why I don't super hate it is because the production on these interviews are fucking fantastic, mate. Like, holy shit. Like, I think my favorite one is probably The Garden.
Okay.
So good. I think that and Gems. The rapper that came to see have got, that's when they all have good production, I can't lie.
The rapper that came to see goes on a minute too long. That's another gripe.
Oh, yeah, fair, yeah.
As in,
fair.
a minute and a half in, Emma Corrin's finished her speech. And then I'm just like, I don't need the rest of it.
The choir. Yeah, no, 100%. I think that was my low point. And track wise, I See You, not because the song's bad. I think the placing was really bad. I think if this was earlier on in the track list, because you leave standing ovation and you're like, whew, that was experience. And then you go to Love Languages and all that's like, okay, what the fuck? Like, do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just not my mood, innit? When it's the rap albums, I want some shit, do you know what I mean? So I think that's the kind of things I didn't like too much.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you can't really fault the production on it because it's beautiful. Like, the strings are amazing.
So good, yeah.
But yeah, I think, it's just a very odd choice. Of all the people, as in Little Cute Part 1, that's cool, right? Like, it's Simbi's cousin. Yeah. Isn't it? It was her cousin, and it made sense. It led into the next song directly. The transition was beautiful. So yeah, it's the interludes for me.
Fair.
But yeah, do you want to go for some highs next? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, outside of the interludes, man, every fucking song slaps for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. And obviously, as a black Nigerian man from London, I might be a little bit biased. I mean, I'm definitely not biased, John, because we're reviewing a black woman who's Nigerian, who's also of Muslim descent, who's from London. There's no bias there, John. There's no bias. But honestly, like, when I speak about Little Simz in 2019, I didn't say I was a Little Simz fan. I said I was a grey area fan. I'm a fan of albums, not artists. Until they can give me enough to be like, okay, you're consistent. And now I feel like I'm a Little Simz fan because I feel like over 14 other tracks, it's kind of hard to maintain interest. You only got 2 features throughout this whole album. And man, she does a fantastic job. So I literally, like, those are high points. There are so many to name, but I will try and stick to a couple. So obviously, I think we spoke about, I'm not going to touch Introvert, I feel like we spoke about it quite a lot on the episode when it came out, so go back and listen to that. But, and same with I Love You, I Hate You, I'll go back to that though, because man, that song is so fucking good. Like, the reason why this song is just so, like, this one, okay, you know what, Little Simz is legit. Even though the Inflo made the sample, it feels like, especially in the first verse, it feels like she's corresponding every line to the sample of I Love You, I Hate You. And that is crazy. Like, it's insane. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this whole song is just like, there's not a single thing I'll change about it. Not a single thing. Like, I just think it's beautiful. Obviously, Point and Kill. I mean, just the way she's kind of flowing in between like Yoruba and English and making it rhyme, as well as like, just riding a beat like that, just easily. And obviously Abonayar does his thing. Like, he was a great addition to that, 100%. So I mean, pretty much the whole album outside of that is a highlight. But I think those two is like really stuck out to me.
What about kind of like lyrically, where in terms of like her lyrics?
I think so. Here's the thing that I spoke to Hamza about when we did. We had a Spaces the weekend the album came out. We kind of spoke about things like this, right? So here's how I see it, right? So I feel like lyricism is a form of communication.
Yes.
So, okay, again, going back to sports, right? The only reason players speak on the court is because they can't read each other's mind. But you always realize the best teams, they don't actually speak much because they've done so much like repetition. They kind of just know what other players going to do.
Yeah.
So not much needs to be said. So I think with lyricism, you do lyricism because maybe if you say it straight off, it doesn't come off as potent. So you kind of use lyricism to kind of make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Is Little Simz the most like, double entendre type of person? Not on this album. I think she definitely has it. I mean, she's shown it. But I think if you even look back at Grey Area now, one thing Little Simz does have is like, even if she's not hitting with these like mad lyrical miracles, her quotables are insane. If you go back to Grey Area, so many fucking quotables on that, right? I think there's less on here, but I think she pulls back on that I think she sacrifices that for the song message, which I can see the trade-off. It kind of reminds me of like A Tribe Called Quest, because they weren't like super lyrical. They just kind of just say things and it's like, okay, it's hitting me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they didn't really rely on the lyrical thing as much. I think that's what she's gone for here. So I think if the songs were bad, like, if I didn't like the songs, and then they'd be like, okay, the lyricism could have helped as well. But I think because even without it, I feel like everything else is there, like flows, cadence, production, do you know what I mean? Like pacing. I feel like, yes, it could have been added, and maybe that would have made it like, it would have even made up for the interludes, but I don't think it's something that, oh my gosh, do you know what I need here? Like just bars, because I feel like I enjoy the songs otherwise. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of quotables. I think I Love You, I Hate You is a big high in terms of, like lyrically, it's an incredible message, because, for people that don't already know, it's a tug of war, like the whole song, like you're saying, it's corresponding to that like, 2-part phrase, like I love you, I hate you. It's a tug between forgiveness and resentment. Like, she's aware of her dad's humanity, but at the same time she's like acknowledging the hurt she's felt, and every time it's like the yin and the yang of how she's feeling, and she is like just toying with it the whole way through the song. And obviously quotables like a woman who hasn't confronted all her daddy issues, are you a sperm donor to me or a dad to me? You're like, whoa, damn, like
that's the same. It's just so like in your face. You're like, holy shit. Do you know what I mean? I think actually in terms of lyrical, one thing I've actually noticed on this album is that her spoken word is actually really good. Like those little poems she does in between like the song. So even on I Love You, I Hate You, when she's like the world's showing no mercy from birth, how do you humanize your hero? And she kind of goes into that. I'm like, damn, like I like, and she even does it on Standing Ovation.
Yes,
like,
from the hood lyricist to the
or even like in the middle, like, oh, don't be so obsessed with me, you think you know what's best for me, and all these things. Like, I'm like, those parts are actually proper, like, and I think it makes the song even more potent. So I think in terms of like lyrics, I think like she's just very potent. Even if it's not hidden behind like a double entendre or anything like that. And I think that's what makes up for it in a big way. Yeah, I
think I See You is beautiful. I think there are a lot of really nice like lines on it. She says, I'm speaking your love language, reading body language. Our connection requires a deep understanding. Communication isn't always verbal, but energy transferred is universal. Ooh. Yeah, it's nice. Preach. And that's something I like as well, like the range of relationships that she tackles here, because obviously overall, right, she's talking about herself, but within that there's the romantic relationships with her and someone on I See You. There's the relationship with the parent on I Love You, I Hate You. There's a relationship with it's her sister, isn't it, on one of the final songs, Misunderstood. Misunderstood. And then she's doing like narrating someone else's story of her cousin. Is I think like in terms of like breadth of stories and emotions that she talks about in this album, I think that is a massive strong point.
100%.
And I think the album's stronger for it, that it doesn't just focus on like my relationship with myself or my relationship with the unnamed like ex or whatever. I think in that
which
sense,
is weird that she called it Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, because I feel like a lot of it is about her, but it didn't feel like a self-titled record. I feel like Grey Area felt like a self-titled record. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, you touched on it a little bit, right? So in terms of the album's theme, because I think there's been all sorts of discussion, right? So if you kind of, as someone listening to the album from front to back, what do you feel like the story she's trying to kind of get out there? Because artists are going to be like, take what you want from it, but there's always like some sort of like objective truth. So what message do you feel like she's trying to get out there with this album? Or like, what story do you think kind of overarches the album, or is there a story to be had?
Damn, that's a great question. In terms of overall message, it is, isn't it? I mean, I feel like it's quite on the nose of like, there's this like dichotomy the whole way through, right? Like the album's essentially split into two. A lot of the songs are about like conflicting emotions, and I don't have an answer to that actually.
No, it's fine. No worries. No worries.
Yeah. Do you have an answer to this?
Yeah, I have something in my lock. Also, I don't want to engage the question, right? So I think the way I see it, right? So I think the song I kept going back to in terms of the theme was Introvert, right? Because like she said so much there, right? And it's like, you know, Simbi the art, no, Simz the artist or Simbi the person. I feel like that's the question that the album's trying to answer, right? Is it like, do you know what I mean? Who is she really? I think she struggles a lot with trying to think, okay, who am I really? Am I just an introverted person, but, you know, I'm really hype on shows and I do all these things and, you know, I think that's the conflict. So I think if I look at it in a chronological sense, I think the album kind of starts, so you look at the first half, right? And I think one thing, and obviously I think this one isn't as obvious, but I think, you know, the thing about being introverted is that you're very aware of your surroundings. And I think the first half of the album does a good job of doing that, right? Women's very outward looking. I Love You, I Hate You. Her dad, Little Q, it's not even about herself. 2 Worlds Apart. And then I think you get to Gems and it's like, okay, I need to remind myself who I am. And then I think it's no surprise she goes out to a great area sound to do that with Speed. And then again, another introversion kind of looking back, like, what is it I'm meant to be on Standing Ovation? You know, I'm meant to be someone who leads the way. I think that's the first half, right? And then the rapper that came to tea, I think the interlude message is really good. I think it transitions to the second half really well. It's just, But when I think the whole thing, because obviously, again, calling it the rapper that came to tea, right? It's really weird because I'm meeting Hansel speaking about this because obviously it's based on the tiger that came to tea. The guy goes in, eats everything up, you know, whatever. So I think, why would she use that? So I think if you look at the lyrics on Genius, whatever, and obviously Emma Corrin's talking about, you know, many have sacrificed to be here, you know, best yet, what is, so I think if you look at the place,
like they're expecting, you know, they're not expecting someone introverted, like, are you ready for that?
Exactly. And I think that's a metaphor for the industry. Like, you know, if you're going to be in here, what are you willing to sacrifice? You're willing to sacrifice your freedom. And then obviously you hear the choir saying, leave, don't do that. And obviously she does that. It goes into Rolling Stone, Protect My Energy, Don't Want Anyone Around Me. Obviously, the more confident songs, obviously Fear No Man, Point and Kill. And then The Garden kind of brings her back down to earth, saying, you need people, all of that stuff. And then it goes into the final two. That's kind of what I got from it. I feel that makes sense. I know some people say like it literally goes back and forth throughout the whole album. I don't feel that way because I feel like if it was, you wouldn't need interludes. I feel like interludes are done to transition sound and the story. So that's kind of what I got from it, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Like that whole thing of like, like it's interesting you pull out that phrase from the beginning. I think that definitely makes it easy to like pull your ideas of what the album is together. Like where she's that she's like negotiating her identity, isn't she? Like what is expected of me, but at the same time, like, how do I actually feel like outside of music? I think Protect My Energy, that was a grower for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
that kind of reminded me of where she's kind of talking about like therapy on grey area. She's like, I don't need therapy. And then obviously here she's like, total silence is my therapy, protecting my energy. I hate to be controlled. So it's it's brilliant. There are lots of little moments like that throughout the album where she kind of references, you know, grey area. Like there's the boss, kind of the equivalent is I can't forget the name.
On Speed, like, don't you know you're dealing with a boss? Like, she literally,
and then
even Misunderstood, when she's like it's a black and white world, seeing the area grey, something like that, for sure.
And I think the interludes, I guess she's kind of, like we said at the beginning, she's trying to do what didn't go so well or wasn't received so well in Stillness by returning to the interludes and the whole theme. I thought I tried to kind of understand the idea of the interludes and the sound, and it was very Disney-esque, and you have Emma Corrin kind of talking down to you as maybe her kind of like going back to childhood, or because obviously Disney fairy tales, all that kind of stuff is like very childhood. The sounds are very like soft sounds, very kind of like I guess I kind of associate the like those kind of instruments with childhood. And she's obviously talking about her dad, and she's talking about her sister and her cousin and kind of lessons that she's learned growing up. So I can kind of get that. That's maybe why it is Emma Corrin kind of sounding like this, like fairy godmother, like you said.
You know, I took it a different way. I felt like it was more like a dream state with these interludes, because they do sound very, to me, they sound very like something like The Garden seems very like, it takes you to a different place. Like, I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm sitting by this like purple beach, whatever the fuck. Like, it just feels really like not of this world type of thing. So, but you know, I get what you're saying. I think I get it. That's the thing. I don't think the interludes are the weakest part, but I don't think it ruins it, because if I just, like, if there was an instrumental version of the album, I wouldn't skip the interludes, not for a second. That's the thing. So that's why I'm really conflicted, right? So, but in terms of the message and all of that, I love it. It's just, the Corrinisms, as one would say.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny? I'll just say this. You know how many people believe that Little Q's by Little Simz? Like, Mike's thought so, and so did Fantano. And it's like, it literally says Little Q, and the whole part one was there. It's just to make it very clear, it's not about her.
I don't know if you talking in first person. I remember listening to the Fantano review. He thought that was Simz.
Yeah,
it's not.
I was like, okay, whatever.
Had to be the man of the house. Clear. Yeah, it's the guy. There's a guy saying that.
Yeah, whatever. Any other like super highlights you want to mention?
I mean, I could talk about every song. Let me have a look.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to shout out Clear Soul. She did a great job, kind of all over.
Oh yeah, I hope that invoice was bountiful.
Yeah, I feel like Inflo and kind of Clear comes as kind of a package deal now. The two of them, it's like Clear is here. She'll add some vocals.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, shout out to her. She did incredible, especially on Woman. But then obviously all the
Protect My Energy. Holy shit! Oh, them two were. Man, like, even just to touch on that song again a little bit more, it's like, I can't believe that was in Little Simz's back pocket. Like, versatility is nuts, man. Like, and the thing is, the song went down really well. Because at first I was like, why the fuck is this on this album? And then obviously looking at the message of it and kind of like, I'm in the disco, I don't care what anyone thinks. Like, it fully fits the theme, like 100%. Like, and obviously Clear Soul just, I think, super good.
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk a little bit, because we both talked about her like lyrical ability, but in terms of like flow and cadence and switching that up when the beat switches, have to give her props for that. Songs like I See You, I did not see that coming at all. Where she the flow switch up is amazing there. She does it on obviously on Rolling Stone. Like, she's got it. Like, don't
whatever it is,
don't
she's
think
got
that, I know sometimes you can probably look at it and be like, it's a bit monotonous. Her delivery sometimes quite flat in terms of there's not too many inflections, but then you do get these songs where you're like,
people think that. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, she's literally, between her and Getz, there's got to be like 200 flows in there. No.
I'm talking in terms of like delivery, like pitch or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
But she delivers like lyrics.
I think Rolling Stone's a good example as well. Example of that, because I wasn't expecting that second verse. Like, I fuck with that so much. I think in terms of flows, I think one of my favorite parts of the album is the third verse on Standing Ovation, where like she kind of raps around the beat. I think if you listen to Kendrick Lamar's Mama, he does a similar thing where she's like hold up, think this is cold, you ain't seen nothing. The glow up, they all discuss them. No, before that, while I was bluffing, didn't see it coming. Hold up, think this is cold, you ain't seen nothing. The glow up, like just the way she's kind of like not even rapping on like a tight like 2-bar like kind of thing. It's like fuck it, and then she just goes so much faster when it's like load the pen up, cock it back, and get to busting. Like just rapping fast and just being able to slow it down. It's like holy shit, like that is not control. Easy. Yeah, like her control is crazy. Like it's like, who's really good at that? Like Schoolboy Q's really good at that, like in his prime. Like it's just just the ability to kind of do it. Like even on so many songs she does this. The third verse on Point and Kill. No, the second verse. And on 2 Worlds Apart, that final verse as well. Like she doesn't attack the song in the same way on every single song. There's always another way she attacks it.
Yeah, 2 Worlds Apart, that like beat switch at the end where she kind of does a couple of lines where she switches the flow, and then she like fully goes in and you're like, this is this is mad.
Insane, man. And just the way I think one thing I just want to touch on before we can move on, I think that'd be the last thing I'll say, is the cohesion of this record as well. Like, it is very cohesive. Maybe not as like pyramid tight as Grey Area, but over 19 tracks, I think the interludes do a good job of transitioning from sound to sound. So I think it's still very cohesive for a 19 track record, to be honest. And just like what is mentioned on the previous song ties into the next one. Like, obviously, the end of Introvert, she says woman, and then it goes into woman. And then, you know, you never pick up the phone. She's 2 worlds apart. She's elsewhere. And then even the way the Smokey Robinson sample ends with I love you. Yeah. And then it goes into I love you, I hate you. Like,
transitions are incredible in here.
Yeah, speed into standing ovation.
That's got to be the tightest one. That's got to be the tightest one on the album.
That one is just like, point and kill to fear no man. It's just, holy shit. Like, this, you can tell so much care was put into this album, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, honestly. And obviously, even the way the album closes off, like, I think Misunderstood is a bit of an epilogue for sure. But, and the thing is, I thought, okay, how did you get here? Like, it's such a sweet song to end it on. It kind of reminds you of Drake's Look What You've Done. Very much so. Even with flow as well. Reminds of that a lot. But even just the hit with I feel like Misunderstood is like an epilogue. Yeah. That's the way I see it. And just, yeah, she still hits it. Like, yeah, perfect, man. Honestly, like, track-wise, yeah. But I think that's really what I say about the album. Like, album is fantastic. Yeah. It genuinely is fantastic.
Definitely. Yeah, we've got some kind of questions from the audience, so thank you for sending those in. Let's start with one of them. Let's start with an easy one. Is it, I say easy, is it better than Grey Area?
Oh, I don't think that's easy, you know. That's
the obvious question then.
Okay, I'll go first on this. I think if you're one of those critics, you know, I realized, and no shade to you, John, I realized why Kanye is like a white hip hop head's favorite artist, because he's so interesting. It's like, oh, there's so much to discover here. And I think Grey Area was quite like that. I feel like it's the critics' favorite because it's like, it's so Kanye-esque in some songs, and it's very watertight and it's very like precise, and it's good to study, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously Grey Area has no misses. I don't care what anyone says. That's still one of the best albums the UK has seen in terms of rap this decade, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a single bad song on that album. It's so watertight. It's so many quotables, cut to the point. And this is where I think it depends what you prioritize in music, because I think this album will do much better. Why do I think this? I think it's a lot more bolder. I think there's so many more risks being taken on this compared to Grey Area. I think you get way more variety. I think there's way more accessibility at the same time. So I think they're two different albums though, and I think that's what makes her a good artist, because you don't want to pick one or the other, you'll listen to both. Yeah. But if objectively, I would say Grey Area, but only by a little bit. Like, Grey Area is one of those ones where, like, I cannot think of something you could do better with this. That's the thing. Like, the only problem with Grey Area, the only reason why it's probably not a 10 out of 10 is because it's not, like, innovative. It's not like, oh my gosh, you changed the game. That's the only thing. Whereas this one, I look at this and I'm like, this is the mark to beat. This is what people should be aspiring towards. Yeah. And I think over time I'll flip between the two, and I think that's what makes it interesting. But I think if I was going to say right now, I would say this. It's just more interesting. I think there's...
So you are saying this rather than Grey Area?
Yeah.
You just changed. You said Grey Area a second ago.
Oh, that's how conflicted I am. I said objectively Grey Area. Okay. Objectively, yeah. But I think in my heart, I think I would... If one album had to blow up, I would blow up Grey Area, but only by a little bit. I think this is like tough. Amazing. It's really tough. What do you think?
I'm with you.
Obvious questions. So
yeah, I'm with you on like there are zero misses on Grey Area. Every single time I put it on, I will not skip anything. I'll listen back to front. I won't even pause it. I'll make sure I've got 40 minutes. The highs are higher on Simbi. I think that's just objectively true. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like the theme, I guess, not necessarily themes more interesting, but there are such interesting or such clear messages from each song that kind of like speak to you in different ways, even if you haven't experienced what she's talking about. I love you, I hate you, whatever it may be. Inflo has kind of, gone stratospheric from Grey Area to this. So there's that to enjoy as well. Yeah, I think it is better, although there are elements of it I don't enjoy. Whereas with Grey Area, there was nothing. I enjoyed it all. But I think because of the highs are so high, and you can point to 10 plus tracks that you're like, this is ridiculous. Then it is. I think it is. It's a better. It's better music. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. I think what a critic will do is like, oh, are there any misses? The amount of misses will deduct from the album. I think I agree with you, right? Even though there are some things where there are some blemishes for sure, I think what you get is so worth it. Like,
absolutely,
it's so worth it. Like everything else is like, holy shit, man. Like, so I'll take that despite it not being like this flawless 10-track body of work, because there's more. That's the thing. Because I can make 10 tracks off of Simbi and it will be Grey Area. Do you know what I mean? So I think, and because there's more than 10 tracks, and it's like, yeah, I feel like you just get way more with this one, and you will take those little hits here and there, because I've got to
say this, because I still can't believe it, Introvert all the way through, Gems Interlude wasn't the biggest fan, but like up to there, Little Q Part 2, Skip Gems, Say You Skip It, and then Speed, Standing Ovation, I See You. Like, that is 10 tracks in a row.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah.
Because you can legitimately say she has like a borderline like 9-track run, like straight from here to from the intro to Standing Ovation. It's like, it's so easy to listen to. Like every time I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna listen to one song, and I just end up listening to the whole most of the album, like every time. So like, yeah, and honestly, like from the start to Standing Ovation, I can't really skip it. Even though Gems is not my least favorite. Like I get it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's easy to listen to. I think that's what saves the interludes big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the second half is really good, but the first half is like, fuck, man. See what's not playing about. Yeah. And obviously, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, let's hit the next question.
Yeah, let's go through the questions. Yeah, let's go through them.
Is there a Grammy nomination in the works?
Is that a question?
Yeah, it is.
Nah, Dave's getting that, man. We all know what's gonna happen, man. Yeah, look, here's the problem, right? Dave speaks on the important stuff, quote unquote. And if you're one of those people who have the power to submit Grammy nominations, you're not gonna pick this over Dave. And the thing, they're not gonna pick 2 UK albums, right? That's the problem. Obviously, it's a bit of a joke. I think, is it worthy of a Grammy nomination? 100%. It's probably 100%. There's no doubt about that. Will it get the nomination? I mean, it didn't even get the Brit, mate. Grey Area. So why are they going to consider it for Grammy? And obviously, I think Grey Area should have been considered for pretty much everything. Yeah. Personally,
it'd be game changing in terms of because a lot of people are swayed by what wins the awards, what gets nominated. So in terms of like fans and numbers, if she got the Grammy nomination, that would be huge.
Oh,
but she doesn't need it, because I think the people that need to know.
Yeah, I think in terms of 2021, sorry, gosh, I'm still back there. But I'll be surprised. Obviously, Grammy nominations, we got another episode coming up in a couple of months. If we come to this in November and there's nothing from the UK, whether you look at that Tyrant, Conflict, even if you want to do Conflict of Interest as a little,
that will not be anywhere near the Grammys.
No, but I'm saying, of course, two girl, but talking about Gets, Simz, Slow Tie, even Dave, I see the appeal for that. If none of them get nominated, I'll be surprised. If I had to pick one, it has to be Simbi, man, but we'll see. Let's go to the next one. Is it the best rap album of 2021?
Ooh. I'm just gonna I'll run down a couple of albums we've had this year. Obviously, had Conflict of Interest, Tyrant. We have had King's Disease 2, Call Me Forget Lost. Obviously, Dave's album. We've had albums from. We had La Machina from Comedy the Machine. Obviously, Simbi. Mac Homie. Carr released an album. We've had a lot of rap albums this year. Obviously, Brockhampton, Roadrunner. Is it the best of the year? Ooh, I don't know yet. I think coming up to this point, for me, it was still Tyler the Creator's album was the best. I think in and around the top 5, I think I still put Slow Tie. I think I put King's Disease 2. And I think I had Brockhampton and Simbi. That would be my 5 at the moment. I'm unsure on order yet.
Okay, cool. I think we're pretty similar. That's how we do the show. Yeah, Tyler was like my one to beat. I think I even said like, if someone beats this album, it's gonna be a pretty special album.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this
it's
might
a
have
special
to be
album.
The one. It's a special album. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, like, yes, I love Sosa's album. I love Nas's album. I think Tyler, lyrically, it was just insane.
Self-produced,
all that stuff. I think the problem, I've heard this criticism, and now when I listen to it, I can't unsee it. It's the opulence is very high on that one. He's let you know he's got a Rolls Royce Cullinan, like quite a bit on that one. I get it. And obviously Wilshire, has it got a lot of replay value once you know the story? Probably not. And that's like 8 minutes of the album. Fair enough. Whereas I look at, I think whichever it's either that or Simbi for me. Whereas I feel like the weaknesses Call Me Get Lost has maybe a bit more
interesting
than Simbi, because yes, they're interludes, but that's what I'm saying. This the struggle, right? I think if I had to pick right now, if I had to put what was the album 2021, I think it would be this. I think it's that level, man. Like I just don't. Okay, if this isn't, what is? And I want to know why. I genuinely want to know why, because what Inflo couldn't do anything more. He couldn't. So don't even come to me with that. He couldn't do any more. Simz, so many potent songs, so many slaps. Like in track wise, doesn't really falter. I would want to know.
Yeah.
I'd want to know why. But I think for me,
obviously,
it's probably number one.
Get in touch with us, of course, if you know. You've got an idea if is it Drake? It's absolutely not. But if you think it is, I'd like to know why. But give us your thoughts at TVC Pod Twitter, Vinyl Collective Pod on Instagram. And next question is being a black woman, has that affected her popularity? I think we know the answer to this.
Yeah,
go ahead,
I'll go straight for this. I think 100%. Like. And again, if anyone knows me, I hate putting any sort of ism card, because it's just not how I operate in my life. But come on, like I said, I think that's why I started off this like segment with the Surya Bonaly analogy, because I just feel like it's so relevant. Like I feel like if this was anyone else, people would be losing their fucking minds. Like if this was Dave, I think people would legit be losing their minds. Legitimately losing their minds, because it's like holy shit. And I just don't feel like it's not even that I want you to think this is the best album's ever made. So why are we trying to like mentally fuck ourselves into liking Certified Lover Boy when this exists? Like that's what I'm saying. Like why is that even a thing? Like again, if Drake made something like this, we know he wouldn't. It's not his personality. Like I just don't see it. I don't see it. If Jay Haas or if Getz or anyone made an album like this, I think people would be going, they would just be like, oh my gosh, this might be one of the best ever. In terms of, I think they themselves would overreact to something like this because they haven't heard something like this before. So, 400%, man. Like, I fail to see what it is about her that can't just be like, yeah, she's probably the best rapper in the country right now. I don't see how it's close. How is it close? Like, Big Conspiracy? No. What, Common Sense? No. Not really. No. Like, I don't see it. Between Grey Area and this, I'd even drop 6. Sorry, what do you think, John?
Yeah. I own 100%. There's absolutely no denying it. Especially in like a
so that the flame.
That is a flame.
That was fine.
You can tell where I live. Especially looking at the scene that is so dominated by men, and the fact that she doesn't get a look in terms of who is the top rapper. People are calling it one of their favorite albums this year, but if you ask someone who's your top rapper, 100% you're not mentioning Little Simz in your top 5. But it's the best album in the UK this year. Best rap album this year. 2019, it was the best rap album from a UK artist. 2016, you can legitimately argue that was one of the top albums that year. Tough year, but Stillness in Wonderland was sick. So that's 3 years out of 5 or 6. That she's had arguably the best album.
Yeah.
And
even Drop 6 was one of the best EPs last year. Obviously, coronavirus, all that, I understand. But I think between Grey Area now, if you want to, even Stillness and Wonderland, I could get criticism. It wouldn't be in my top 5. 100%. I get that. But like, in terms of UK, because when I made that tweet, I didn't expect it to do what it did. When I said, who has the best discography?
That was mad. That was mad.
It was people saying, Nines got best. Nines is not touching Simz' discography, if we're being so honest with ourselves. If you said someone like Kano, okay, I get that. But between Stillness, Great, because thing is, this is what I'm saying, like, I feel like an average UK rapper gets way more praise than Simz.
100%.
Way more.
100%. People are like, Crabs in the Bucket with someone. Are you kidding me? Are you actually mad? You're going to put Grey Area next to Crabs in a Bucket and you're going to say, yeah, no, Nines are the better album. You're lying.
I don't get it.
You're 100% lying. You haven't listened to Little Simz.
And a lot of people do this, which I'll get into maybe later. But like, I feel like I want to believe the discussions around her are genuine, but I just don't. And that's based off my experiences with speaking to people I love Simz. And every time it's always like, I haven't listened to the album, or I only listened to half of it, or it's like some weird excuse. Like, and again, I don't get paid.
It's not inaccessible either.
Yeah, like, it's always some sort of bullshit, and I just don't feel it's ever genuine. I feel like they mention her because, you know, in the industry, they love her. Like, you know, all the UK rappers love her. So I think they give her that respect, but it's never, I don't think the discussion around her is as genuine as other artists. Never. I just don't think it that way. Because I feel like people would put artists, like, for example, Getz is long tenured, so they'll put Getz, but have they really looked at Getz' discography to say that? I mean, Getz was out when I was a kid, so probably not. Do you know what I mean? So I think I feel like you could have discussions where it's like, okay, no, it's not Lil Simz, but I don't think they ever made out of good faith. It's all just made of, oh, I'm not used to this name being put in this conversation, so I'm not ready to do that yet. And the same thing happened to Kendrick, same thing happened to Rhapsody. I understand it, but it's just, I feel like with the UK, it's like, there's a good chance to really push someone who is legit as fuck, and it's just not happening. Yeah. That's
fair. No, I mean, I'm in agreement there. It's you can't legitimately listen to her music and not put her up there. So yes is the answer to your question. I guess kind of like in summary, right? Like where does it sounds so early saying this, but like where does Simbi go from here? Like where does Inflo, part 2 to that, where does Inflo go from here? I'll start with Inflo. I'll start with Inflo. I think he will continue doing what he's doing right now. I think, as you can see, he's kind of slowly expanding out to a few other select artists. You know, Scribs Riley. I'm sure he has people knocking for him. I am 100%.
100%.
In the same way that he get your violins out. In the same way that he hasn't replied to my Instagram messages. I reckon he has a lot of people who have sent him emails, a lot of management calling him up, and he's like very selective. Which, why not? Your Inflo, people in the industry will love you, and choose who you want to go with. So I think he'll remain selective. I would be surprised if he didn't produce a third Simbi album.
Okay.
I mean, it's a winning recipe.
Like,
why change it if it isn't broken? Why fix it? But then Simbi may want to kind of prove herself. Obviously, as Inflo's legend grows, she may want to step away from that and be like, I can do this on my own. That's my impression. I think she might want to move away from it, but I wouldn't. I would love a third.
You know what? If it wasn't for the obscene range on this album, I'll be like, no, don't run it back again. But because the range seems limitless, I'm like, fuck it, let's see what else you can do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you lot could sound like you can do any fucking thing, right? So do it again. But I think, as you said, I think he'll start to expand. I think the money will come knocking in a big way. Like, it's gonna be, I don't see him lasting long in this country, to be honest, because fucking Kanye West worked at Michael Kiwanuka at one point, I think it was.
Do you think he wants that though? Because he shuns anonymity. So, not many people listen to him at all. And he's still doing it, so...
I think he's very low key in it, and I get it. It feels like he doesn't give a fuck about being a known person. Like, again, he's like a coach. Like, I'll let my vocalist do that, right? But again, I think the money will be too high for him to say no at some point.
Fair.
I do think that. But yeah, he seems like a genuine lad. Don't get me wrong. Like, he seems like he's very he seems like a purist through and through, right? Like, straight purist. I think Simz, there's two ways, right? You run it back again, and everyone knows the production, you know, that's in hand. You don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And maybe she kind of gives people more, you know, technical bars and all that stuff and all that stuff. I think in terms of theme, I don't know. She has to shift from herself, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Get more features, 100%. I think it'll be good. I think now's the time to see her work with other people. I thought that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
When we saw her work with Leanna Havas at the BBC One show, whatever, and they think they did cover of You're Free to Do What You Want to Do, whatever. And I thought, oh, yeah, Simz and Leanna Havas, that fucking makes bare sense. Like, yeah. But obviously it hasn't happened. But again, I feel like they're both very to themselves, introverted, of course. But I think, yeah, Simz should definitely do more features, work with more people. If she is bold enough, just challenge yourself and do one without Inflo. See how that works. Because then people will be like, you're really fucking legit, mate. Will she do it? We'll have to see. But I think that would be a good route for her to go down. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, agreed. 2021 album of the year, we've kind of answered that already. It will be up there in and around the top. I think it'll be interesting to see what else comes out this year.
If it has to be my top 3 by the end of the year, unless something insane. Like, obviously now Tyler and Simz, something insane has to drop. Also, it's quite funny. You go back to 2019, top 2 was Tyler and Simz. And now again, 2021, Tyler and Simz. So I feel like we're definitely in the Tyler Simz. We're in the Tyler Simz era for sure. Yeah. I think at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that kind of wraps us up for this album. If you haven't listened to this album,
I'll go one step further. Go and buy this.
Go and buy the vinyl. Like, if you have a vinyl player. Go and buy
the album, CD.
The CD's £5. Yeah. Go download it.
It's worth it. I think there's no way you listen to this and you don't get something from it. Like, there's no way. Absolutely. Like, I feel like, this album is worth every penny, to be honest. Like, it's a cracking body of work, to be honest. So yeah, absolutely. Go and buy that. Don't even just stream it. Go and buy it.
But yeah, obviously, if you have opinions on this, or once you do listen to it, you know, give us a message. Let us know what you thought of it. You can obviously message us on Twitter at TVC Pod. On Instagram, we are Vinyl Collective Pod. Obviously, everywhere else, we are just the Vinyl Collective Pod. You can email us vinylcollectivepod@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that moves us on to, as always, we have a throwback song and a song that's been released in the last couple of years. Our Now and Then playlist. Do you want to kick us off?
Yes, sir. No, you go first. Because I got my now, I ain't got my then. So I'll think of that quickly.
I have my then, but not my now. Cool. I'm going to go with my then. It's going to be Shadows by Little Simz.
Okay.
I think that's from the Blank Canvas EP.
Yes, that's a good song.
That is one of my favourite, like, old Little Simz songs, because we included it in our thread. Do go check that out on Twitter. But the flow switch ups on here, that was 7 years ago. So this is when she was in her teens. Crazy. That's my then song. My now song. Oof. What am I going to go for? Oh, we always do this for like, have we already put this song on there?
Yeah.
So we'll have to go and...
But I think I know number 2.
Okay. I was going to go Injury Reserve. Check out Injury Reserve. Their new album has just dropped. I haven't listened to it yet.
Is it out now? Okay.
Yeah, I think it released yesterday. Okay, what am I going to go for? I think I will go Vince Staples' Take Me Home.
Okay. Ooh, banger.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Damn. Okay. Cool. So my now song is from Pray for Haiti. So let me just get the name for the song right. Yep. I don't know if you added already, but the Stella Ray Theory. Holy shit, that's a banger. Banger. Fucking hell. Yeah. Shout out to Matt Comey. And then my then song. I'm going to put. Oh no, that's 2019. Okay, so I'll put Energy by Sampa the Great.
Oh,
Banging
yeah.
song. Came out about 3 years ago now. But yeah, good song. I think it's on the I May Destroy You soundtrack, so you may have heard it before, but yeah, really good song.
Cool. That's the second Sampa the Great song on that playlist. Shout out her. But yeah, obviously you can find that playlist on Spotify. You'll find it on our socials. If you go on our Linktree link, we have all of the playlists that you need to check out on there. And yeah, obviously check out Little Simz. It's, as Tope said, cracking body of work. And yeah, once again,
Kendrick was right, man.
He was right. Yeah, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Vinyl Collective.